Today we are going to be learning about verbs and how to write verbs in the past tense. Verbs are described using tenses. We have 3 tenses that we will learn. Today we're going to be doing a learning safari. Get excited! The children explore the savannah. They see elephants. They ride in the jeep. They camp every night. Did you notice how each one of these sentences has an underlined word to describe the verb? Each one of these sentences has a verb that is underlined. That's the action that people are doing. One morning, they hear a strange noise. They find a strange machine behind a bush. What could it be? It's a time machine. The time machine changes the children's words. In the present tense, the word is look. But when the time machine changes it to the past, the word becomes looked. And when the time machine changes it to the future, the word becomes will look. The children could not believe their eyes. Touch became touched in the past tense, and will touch in the future tense. This is a wonderful discovery. We thought the time machine was lost. Would you like to know how it works? When we're talking about time, we are talking about the present if we're speaking about something that's happening right now. So when we use present tense verbs, we're writing about things that are happening as we write. For example, I laugh at myself. That's something I'm doing right now. Okay? If I laugh about something that happened yesterday, I would say, I laughed at that silly joke because it's something that happened before. So present tense is happening right now, this second. We could do these actions right now in the present tense. I clap. I jump. These are things that I'm doing right now in the present. Another example of time is past tense. Past tense verbs have already happened. They are things that have happened before. For example, I clapped yesterday, or I jumped last week into the pool. These are things that I did before now that I'm writing about them. The verbs have changed by adding an ed when we're talking about the past tense. Now we can talk about the future. Future verbs are things that must still happen. They haven't happened yet, but they will. We use that word will when we're talking about the future. I will clap. I will jump, but not yet. Look at these examples. In the present tense, my sentence would be, I walk. It's something I'm doing now. In the past tense, my sentence would be, I walked. Notice how the sentence changes by adding an ed to the end when I'm talking about the past tense. My future tense would be, I will walk. It's something I haven't done yet, but I plan to do in the future. Our next example in the present tense, or something that would happen now, is I look. I look left and right before I cross the street. It's something I'm going to do this second, or something that I always do. Now, if I talk about in the past, I would say, I looked for my glasses already, but I couldn't find them. That's something that I did before. And in the future tense, I will say, I will look. That's like if you tell someone that you promise you will help them look for their lost teddy bear. You can't look right now, but you will in a later time. That's the future tense. What do you notice about the verbs? Walk becomes walked in the past and will walk in the future. Laugh becomes laughed in the past and will laugh in the future. And look becomes looked in the past and will look in the future. Do you see a pattern here? Yes, we added ed to the past tense verbs. So each one of these verbs in the present, we just added an ed to the end of each one to change it to the past. Past tense verbs, we add ed. These are our regular verbs. Most of them follow this rule. Add ed. So jump would become, say it with me, jumped. Clean would become cleaned. And guess would become guessed. Right, you guessed it. But what about sit? Some verbs do not follow the rules, and this verb sit does not follow the rules because I do not add ed to sit and make it sitted. I sitted on my chair yesterday. That doesn't make any sense. Instead, sit became sat in the past tense. Eat is also not a regular verb. It doesn't follow the rules. When I'm talking about the past, I would say that I ate my broccoli at dinner. That's something I did before, not right now. Another irregular verb, or a verb that does not follow the rules, is run. When I am saying run and I put it in the past tense, run would become ran, not runned. I didn't run on the playground. I ran on the playground. Some verbs change completely in the past tense and don't follow any rules. We call them irregular past tense verbs. Here are some examples of irregular verbs. In the present tense, I would say eat. Please write down what the past tense would be. We just did this one in our example. Let's see if you can remember. Eat becomes ate. Write in the present tense, what would that become in the past? The answer is wrote. I wrote in my journal last night. Sit is a present tense verb. This is another one we've seen in practice. What would sit become in the past tense? Sit becomes sat. Now, irregular verbs, they are not following the rules, so that means that we need to practice using them and try to remember these new patterns. Since they don't follow the rules, we have to remember them in our brain to help us know these different past tense verbs. Run becomes, we did this one before, ran. Good. See becomes saw. I saw the boy in my yard yesterday. Draw would become, can you think of it? Write down your answer. What it would draw be in the past tense? Draw would become drew. I drew a picture of a butterfly yesterday, but today I will draw a penguin. That's the difference between the past and the present. Sleep. Sleep is something I could do right now because I'm tired. But it's also something that I've done in the past. And when I've talked about me going to sleep in the past, I would use the word slept. I would not say I sleeped last night because that's not something that we say. We use the pattern slept to tell you that we do it in the past. This is our special irregular verb for sleep. When we're talking about doing it in the past, we would say, I slept very good last night. Something I did in the past. Another example would be fall. I do not want to fall and hurt myself. That is something that I would be doing right now if I were to fall. But if it happened to me yesterday and now I have a broken leg, then I fell. I didn't fall because that would not be the right grammar. We would be using word fell in the past tense. Identify the tense of each of these sentences. Use your whiteboard. You can use a piece of paper as well. I jumped out of the Jeep. My verb is jumped. Now you need to decide if jumped is A in the future tense, B in the present tense, or C in the past tense. Jumped is a past tense verb. I know this because I have that ed on there to show me that it's a past tense verb or something that's already happened. We walk to the camp. Is walk a future tense, present tense, or past tense verb? Walk. Walk is a present tense verb. Did you choose the answer B? Good job if you did. The giraffe ran away. Is ran a future tense, present tense, or past tense verb? Ran is a past tense verb. This is irregular. It does not follow the rules. We don't say I runned away, we say I ran. Good job. He found the lion. Is found, that verb, is that a future tense, present tense, or past tense verb? What do you think? Choose an answer, please. Found is a past tense verb. That is something that happened yesterday or a week ago. It didn't happen right now. So the word found is past tense. It's also irregular because I didn't say finded. I didn't finded the lion. I found him. Our next game, you're going to be reading a sentence and changing the verb. So this first sentence says, the elephant plays in the mud. Please change the verb plays into a past tense verb. If the elephant did not play today, but he decided to do it another day in the past, what would that verb look like? Plays would become played. The elephant played in the mud. The past tense verb for plays would be played. Good job if you got that one correct. Our next sentence is I slept in the tent. The past tense is the word slept. Now can you write that word slept in the present tense for the next sentence? What would your answer be? The present tense for slept would be sleep. I sleep in the tent. Good job. Our next sentence is I fly high. Fly is a word in the present tense. Change the word fly to the past tense. Would the past tense for fly be A, flied, B, flew, or C, flied? Choose your answer and write it down. The answer is B, flew. I flew high. That's an irregular past tense verb. Our next sentence is I choose a book. Now you need to choose the correct past tense for the word choose. Is it A, chose, B, choosed, or C, choosed? You decide which answer makes the most sense. A great way to decide would be to change each of these words and put them into the sentence. See which one sounds the best. Is it A, I chose a book, B, I choosed a book, or C, I choosed a book? You decide. The correct answer should be A, I chose a book. This is another irregular past tense verb. Choosed does not make sense. Our next one is we go to school. This is the most irregular verb we have. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when we use the past tense for go, do we say A, went, B, goed, or C, goes? Choose your answer, A, B, or C. The answer is went. The past tense for go is went. Instead of saying we go to school, it makes the most sense to say we went to school, not we go to school or we goes to school. Our best choice and the right answer is A, went. It's our irregular past tense verb. I feel happy. Feel is something that I'm doing right now. It's in the present tense. If I were talking about a different time when I were to feel something from the past, would I say A, felt, B, field, or C, field? Choose the answer that makes the most sense. The correct answer is felt. In the past tense, I changed my last letter to a T. Instead of saying field, I would say I felt sad when you hurt my feelings. That's something I was feeling in the past. Our next word is draw. I draw fast. That's something I'm doing right now in the present. If I were to change this to the past tense, would I write A, drawed, B, drawed, or C, drew? Choose the correct answer. The correct answer is C, drew. I drew fast. That's something I did in the past. Our final review is verbs are words that show action. I want you to remember that verbs are the words in our sentence that are doing something. For example, laugh, dig, eat, walk, fly. When we're talking about present tense verbs versus past tense verbs, we should be thinking this. Present tense verbs tell what is happening right now. Past tense verbs tell what already happened. An example of some of our present tense verbs is to drive and smile. I drive every morning. I smile at you. Something I'm doing right now. If I'm talking about the past tense, I would say I waved at my mom yesterday, or he smiled at me last year, or we looked for milk at the grocery store yesterday. All of these words explain things that happened long ago, and they either end with an ed or they're irregular, and we need to practice them. Thanks for practicing with me, and we will do it again soon.